Hey, this is Gene. I just started eating something, so you might see stuff on my whatever. I hate fucking doing this all the time. That's my son in his room, so please excuse that. I mean, I go out for a walk. I don't listen to anything about that deals about Manchester United or anything like that. And and I get home and I see that Forever United, I guess, Adam, he's going to talk about this, talk about what the agent of Antony said. And I look through my feed and I find here's a little short from the United Stand and Beth with her opinion about something. And so I'm going to go ahead and play this. Try to do it loud enough you can see it. Anyway.
It's back at Ruben Amorim. We respect the opinion of coach Ruben Amorim, but we completely disagree with his analysis. The reality is that Antony, since he arrived at Real Betis, has become one of the best players in the team and the competition itself. This highlights that the problem was not the physicality, but the context and the way that he was managed in Manchester. Many players who do not prosper at United find success at other clubs.
That's all bullshit, by the way.
To wonder if the problem really lies with the players. You are the product of the 5 people around you. And it's the same in football. You are the product that the team is around you. That team is massively underperforming. But if you took each individual out of Manchester United's 11 and you put them across other top teams in Europe, you would probably have a better success rate from all of them players. They would probably do better because you are putting them into a better environment, into a better team with better players that are functioning properly. Manchester United's environment isn't good, and I do think Antony's agent is right when he says it's not a coincidence that the majority of our players, they start to go on a downwards trajectory. When you leave Manchester United, you start to go back up on an upwards trajectory. We've seen it multiple times before. We've seen it with Scott McTominay, we've seen it with Anthony Elanga, we've seen it with Marcus Rashford, we've seen it with Antony.
All right. That's all bullshit. Okay. Yes, we've seen in the short term that I'll take McTominay out of that because McTominay should have never been sold. The only reason he was sold is because we're in such a bad financial position and he wasn't really playing the position that he wants to play. But I'll talk about McTominay anyway. He went to Serie A that doesn't have the same amount of physicality in the midfield because he used to fucking hide in big games for Manchester United. Now he did great things, especially the last couple of years. He got up and made goals and all that stuff. But there's so many times that he would just hide in big games. He would never come to the ball, and it would just be McFred or just Fred doing what he has to do. And he had his own issues as well. And these guys, this is the largest fan channel in the world. And it wasn't that long ago that Mourinho said that what happens when a Manchester United player leaves Manchester United when they go? Ask how they do. Back then, apparently, they didn't do well at all. But now we have 4 examples where players that were almost first-team players. She won't talk about Sancho, who's done absolute shit for Chelsea. But she talks about Rashford. He comes off the bench. He shows his worth. He played okay with us at the end, but he still did not do what he was supposed to do, what the manager wanted him to do. Antony started well for Manchester United, and we're at the same point where he started going down in his form with Manchester United. We don't know what he's going to do now there. And let's the La Liga is clearly not the same as the Premiership when it comes to the physicality. It's not. He's allowed to do a lot more shit there. He couldn't get by anybody in the Premiership. Even the lower teams, that we're one of those teams now, had guys that could defend him, and he would continually track back because he could not get by anybody. That doesn't mean he can't come back and be a good player. I think there's a player there, but he didn't have electric pace. Neither does Ahmad. A lot of players on our team that don't have a lot of pace. The only thing that Garnacho has is that he'll put his head down, he'll keep going on. He's still not the most fast guy out there. What else did you say? McTominay. Oh, I said Serie A, totally different game. They don't have the physicality, and it actually sets up to the style of play that he has. We did really well by selling players to places that they'll do well in, and low them to places they can do well in. Marcus can come off and just sit there out there on the touchline and get the ball over the top, and he can be physical, or he could be an attribute to a team. But he didn't do what he was supposed to do here. Who else did he say? She said McTominay. Oh, and Langa. Elanga had a lot of chances, and he missed goals, and I wish he shouldn't have gone anywhere. But we went and we bought guys that were supposed to be the finished article, like Antony or whatever. It didn't work out. And he goes to Forest where there's no fucking pressure at all, and he's performing there. She makes this statement that is, well, if we take one of our players, and put him somebody in the good teams in the world, that they'll do okay. Yeah, I think Lindelof would be good if he goes back to Benfica. He said, I think he's a decent player now. All these players can play well together, but we're so outbalanced, and we're basically in a rebuild again, and we're having to deal with all the other shit that's going on. But the reason why they're going to say it, and I didn't watch all this. This is just a short, right? So they put that out there. This is what they put out. This 90 seconds or whatever this was to say this, that it's really the environment at Manchester United that make these players bad. Really. The same owners have always been there. They've had player power forever. They had it under Ole and all that stuff. And we try to get it back to over Mourinho. All this stuff, we try to get it back. They wouldn't allow it. And now because they want to say is because all the staff has been gone and all this stuff is, we're cutting back all this shit, that's why they're not playing well. I don't even have to watch it. I know that's where she's going to go, because that's all this channel has been talking about for 2 months, is that the reason why is because the staff has been made them redundant. They just don't understand that sometimes when you have to do that, when you come in and you look at the books, and you say, how am I going to get this down? And they've done it through the team as well. They got rid of players that are no longer on the books or lower on the books, paying less and less and less. And it's clearly more than what's happened to the people that actually been fired. As much as people want to say that it's bad or whatever, if those guys are making $40,000 a year and they've lost 500, let's say, that's $2 million a year. We have clearly got people off the books, their salaries a lot more than that in the first team. And I don't want to compare them. They're all part of the club. I understand that. And it's wrong. But again, you can't go in and say, obviously, they were severely overbloated when it comes to the staff. But this channel, especially the last couple of months, have been just fighting this stuff. And yeah, they live in Manchester, and I understand it. And maybe they know some of the people that have been fired, and it's bad, right? I remember when we had they were going to build a pipeline here in the United States, and there were 10,000 people there ready to do all this shit, and they're ready to start, and they stopped doing it. And a day, 10,000 people lost their fucking job. Now, I didn't see anybody marching in the streets for these people. Again, I support Manchester United for 40 fucking years. I don't want people to lose their jobs. But somebody has to come in and be the adult when it comes to get the finances right for the Manchester United. And whether you like what Ineos is doing right now, they're the people, they're the adults in the room. They're like, oh, I can't believe we didn't have Cheeto on the European roster. We're supposed to understand that 17-year-old dude was supposed to be on the European roster. I mean, it's another thing that they did wrong. I mean, I have what they did their first transfer window. I think they did a really good job, and they spent $200 million on this, but somehow we're not spending any money. And then I hear this shit now on this channel that the only reason why now the Ineos came in there, they had to somewhat save the Glazers, who have 10 times more money than they do, but we had to save them. And the real reason when they did this is so that they could be involved with the new stadium and all the shit that's going around there, and it's going to be millions and billions of dollars. And I'm thinking to myself, Okay, that's a good reason why to do it. Other than the fact that you have the biggest team in the United Kingdom, one of the biggest clubs in the world, the biggest supporter teams in the world. There's That's not important at all. It's like no, it's not that either. They just want to do it because they want to build a new stadium and they want to get the money from all that. Okay, that's all what they're fucking businessmen. What do you think they're going to do? I mean, Ratcliffe can say that he is a fan of Manchester United, fine. But most people who buy these teams that have the money to buy those big teams, they do it from a business perspective. The EPL and all that stuff years ago allowed this to happen, and they allowed somebody like the Glazers to come in and buy the team. And as supporters of the team, of course, we want them to go. And I said that in my video the other day that nobody really watched. There should be a way that these fan channels and fan groups, they get on here and they say, you know what, just wear a, a black flag or whatever it is. I can't even say what it is, to know that you want the Glazers out. Why don't you come up with a proposal and say, look, we're willing to raise a certain amount of money to get us out of debt, and we have some part of the ownership of the club, and eventually, 5 years, whatever, we want the Glazers to fucking leave. Or we're going to protest every game at home. We're not going to go into the stadium at all. We're going to walk out front. You can still buy the shit out. Whatever. But just don't go in. Oh no, I want to go in there with a little thing around my arm and said, I'm protesting. It's like the people on Twitter to do shit like this. If you really believe it, do you think that the Glazers are the worstest people ever, and they are financially, they are, then fucking do that. Protest. Get out of the stadium. Walk in the streets. Do things peacefully, and do it a couple times and see what happens then. Don't go in and go inside the stadium and have flares and everything like that. Just do something peaceful and continually do it for every day. And don't buy shit from the mega store. And don't have MUTV. Well, I already have it because it was $1 a month. So it has some reason for me. If you really want to do things like that, then do that. But you continually it's the owner's fault. It's the culture there. It's the environment there. The players are bad because of all this. So when the good players are here, when Delo was one of the best players on the team last year, that was just, he was having a good time. And regardless of the culture at the club, I know these are humans. I get it. And they see the staff, and I'm sure that they feel embarrassed about it. But at the same time, I don't think that they really think that way. They live in their own little bubble where they make so much fucking money. They're basically celebrities. They don't really care about other people. Some people do, all right? It's how it was 10, 15, 20 years ago at that club. There was some sort of kinship between the players and that. But when you have such a difference when it comes to how much money you make, especially if somebody comes out and comes into the club, somebody doesn't come from the youth team, who might actually have an affinity for the player and the staff in the back, I understand that. But come on now, it's a totally different thing. My issue is this channel and others will just use that as clickbait and sit there and say, yeah, the real problem now, for the last 3 years, it's been the players. But the real problem now is the culture, the environment, because of what happened. Because when Ineos came in and said we have to shut shit down, and you're not going to go to the FA Cup, you're not going to get all this shit, the staff's not going to get all the little perks that they used to get. It fucking sucks, but that's where we are right now. Somebody made stupid decisions, hiring and buying players that were overvalued, and then these same guys want to get rid of these players. And you can't just do that right away because it destroys the bottom line and what our financials look like. And then you hear this over the top saying if we don't get Europe, it could be catastrophic for the Manchester United. Well, it might be, but who was it? Was it yesterday? Adam from Forever United, whatever. He talking about where we are when it comes to our players and how much we have to sell it to get even at least, right? The thing is, we're not that bad, and we got rid of other shit already, and we're going to get rid of Casemiro. It's going to happen. Somehow we're going to get rid of him. Um, and a lot of other guys that are going to be gone, like Erickson, Lindelof. There's more salary that's going to be off the books, and we're going to be in a lot better financial situation. Winning the Europa League, get into Champions League, that could be worth 12, 15 million. All right, that's helpful when it comes to transfers. But we got rid of a lot. We're getting rid of Sancho at his salary next year. If Aston Villa wants to sign Rashford, we're going to get a little bit from them, and going to get his salary off. That's $300,000 a week. We're going to be okay. We're not going to go and be redundant or lose the club because of financial issues. We have to fix what we did. And what are we supposed to do? Was Ineos supposed to go and say, well, I'm just going to spend my own money and just make us more and more in debt and not paying it off? Or these people didn't have enough, really, to go. Why should they be responsible for what the Glazers did and put us on $500 million in debt? Why should Ineos come in and pay that off when they own like 20% of the team? Now, if they buy out all of the Glazers' ownership, because they don't own 100%, if you take all that off, and then okay, yeah, then you should say, yeah, go ahead and pay it off. But I like I said yesterday, there's a way that this one of the biggest sported teams in the world could clearly help out this issue. And again, it would be helping out the Glazers. So if they have to actually sell it, it'll be all part of the plan. If you're going to do it, then we're willing to give you whatever this is going to be. Is it $10, 10 pounds of 150 million supporters around the world? And then it comes out that that's like $500 million or something like that and pays off the debt. But they can only get that money from us if they say they're going to sell the team and they're going to be out in 5 years or 4 years or whatever. And then we just will know that at the end of the day that that's going to happen. And for them, they're going to get money anyway at the end when they sell it because they're not going to have any debt. And I think we're going to be that way in 4, 5, or 6 years anyway. I think he's going to bring it down anyway. But it's just shocking to me that somebody that have this reach that they have, and okay, some agent said that obviously it's not Antony, then then it means it's the environment at Manchester United. Oh, okay, I'll give you about 5% could be that. And the thing is, I like Antony as a player. But again, he does the same shit that they all do, with the exception of Garnacho. They go down and they check back. They don't go buy anybody. And yeah, I wish we had Alanga because he had the ability to do that, but we don't play that to that strength anymore. And they do the same shit. And Ahmad does the same thing. Now, he's better than Antony when it comes to that. He has more confidence that he'll go buy people. And Garnacho will lose the ball 1,000 times, and he'll still continually go down. If he could get his finishing together, the guy would be world class, regardless of what people want to say about him now. If the dude actually could finish the ball better, he'd have 10 to 15 goals this year. His price tag would be over 80 million, easy, and he would have a real future. He just can't, at this point, is not doing well when it comes to finishing. It's just at the end, he doesn't make the right decisions. And he has his problems passing the ball, and they all have that as well. But I just want to talk about that. I'm like, I just want to sit down and don't want to talk about this shit until we play tomorrow against Sociedad. Looks like Maguire's not going to be there, and Ugarte is not going to play. That's fine. I mean, hopefully Collier can play. I think Casemiro might play tomorrow. I think we'll be okay. I think we're going to draw. Maybe we might win that game. I don't know. I mean, look, the thing is that La Liga, they do have some technically player on the ball. They might be better overall when certain things in the Premiership. But they do. It's not the same type of game when we're talking about what Antony's doing in La Liga versus the EPL. The EPL, even if we're playing against one of the worst teams in the league, we're one of them, or even the teams in the regulation area, you have to work hard to get the goals. Liverpool has to do this many, many times. It's 1-0, and they have to try to come back, and they barely beat these teams. And the speed is just totally different than other leagues. We not be the most technically gifted players, but the players are more physical. Just like, yeah, he goes to La Liga and does better. Oh, okay. McTominay goes to Serie A. He goes to Napoli, who's already been a good team, and he's going to do better. And Rashford does well at at Villa because they're okay, and he just comes in and he just his thing is just to go forward with it. He doesn't. He is not given the same type of responsibility that we had at here, and it's unfortunate for him because he could probably play the system, but he clearly doesn't want to do it. And he's the one who said he wanted new challenges, and he might win the Champions League. Who knows? He might win the FA Cup. Good for him. But anyway, I think I'm going to stop right there. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please share and like it and all that shit. I'd like to get my reach out a little bit more, talk a little bit more about this, more of a common sense approach to what we get from the fan channels. I'm just getting over them so much right now because everything they got to make a big thing about. I wouldn't even bring it up that his agent said that shit. And if we're going to say anything about it, don't all of a sudden now, well, really the problem is the culture because the last 6 months we've started firing people. It's not the reason. Talk to you guys later. Bye.